Hi there, welcome to my videos on elementary differential equations. This is video number 7 for chapter 9 and the topic is partial differential equations. In this video, we begin our study on the wave equation, the 1D wave equation, and we will derive the formal solution. So here's the equation, and u is a function of x and t, and we have u partial derivative in t twice equals c squared, a positive constant in the result, times u xx, differentiating x twice. Okay, so this is for t bigger than 0 and x on an interval from 0 to L. We'll begin our discussion with the following boundary and initial condition. So the boundary conditions are given at the 2 points x equals 0 and x equals L, and they are to be 0, homogeneous. Since this has time derivative, we'll need initial conditions. So since the time derivative in the equation are second derivative, we will need two initial conditions. One is given in the form of the solution, u of x at t equals 0. Let's call this function f of x. And then the second one is the derivative in t at the time 0. And let's call this g. And that's applying to the interval x from 0 to L. Let's try to interpret these conditions in terms of physical modeling. Let's consider the case that you model a vibrating string. Let's say the string is held horizontally at height 0 and 0 at x equals 0 and x equals L. So we can do a quick drawing. So that's your string, which is horizontal. So this is 0 and this is L, and you can think there is a y-axis, which like the height of the string. So we assume that there's no gravity because the string is very light, and we want to understand the motion of this string. Such model has broad application in musical instrument such as violin and all the string instrument, and also piano, where you have different lengths of string for different notes. Okay, so in this setting, then the initial condition at t equals 0, so the fx will be the initial string position, meaning vertical position away from the equilibrium. We can have a drawing to illustrate that. So the equilibrium is lying horizontal from 0 to L. So at t equals 0, if the string is stretched or whatever, in what way is somewhat away from this, let's draw it in red. Let's say the string is like that. Then you will have f of x will be the distance at the point x, how far away it is from the equilibrium. So this will be a positive value, and at that point f of that x is 0, and then here it will have negative value. Lastly, the condition u sub t equal to gx, the meaning of the gx will be the rate of the position moving in time. So that will give you the velocity, and we can also briefly draw. Let's say that's the equilibrium position, and then initially your string has this shape. And then what is the meaning of the g here? Well, that will be if the string is not at rest, that is, the string is already moving, and it will have the velocity. Let's say they're moving down here and they're moving up here. Okay, and then the g will be a negative here, and then the g will be positive here. Okay, just an example. So we can have understanding of the meaning of these terms. Okay, so let's derive the formal solution. So the overall technique here is very much the same as what we have done for the heat equation. So we will go through several steps, including separating the variables, and then form eigenvalue problems and solve them, and then form a formal solution, and then determine the coefficients in the Fourier series using the initial conditions. Okay, so more or less the same, but there are some different details because this is a different equation. Okay, let's begin the first step. Let's separate the variables. So we seek solution of the form fx times gt. Then the second derivative in t would result in g double prime, and the second partial derivative in x will result in the f double prime. Now we can put this back into the equation, which is here. So utt will be this term. C square, we copy, uxx gets us this term. So we see this is easily separable because each side of the equation is the product of two functions already kind of separated, containing only one independent variable. So we can move fx under here, so we get f double prime over f. And then we can move c squared g down here, we get g double prime over c squared g. So here comes the same argument as we have done earlier in heat equation. So this is a function of x, and this is a function of t, and they must equal to each other for all x and t, and therefore this must equal to a constant. Okay, so let's write out this equals negative p, where it's a constant. So the reason for negative is that we know it will eventually lead to positive eigenvalues. Okay, so therefore we have two ODEs, one for f, one for g. For f is this one equal negative p. You can manipulate into this form. And then for g, you'll have this term equal to negative p, and you can write into this form. Okay. So we see that the equation for f is the same as the one for the heat equation, but the one for g is different. It's now a second order ODE. Okay, so the step 2 now will be to solve for f. So this step is pretty much the same as before. We notice the boundary condition for the equation now implies boundary condition for f. F at 0 and f at L must be 0. So for the eigenvalue problem, we'll have 0 Dirichlet boundary conditions. And we are very familiar with this, and we can write out the solution right away. Okay, so the solution is we have positive eigenvalues, and p we can write as omega n squared. The reason we call it omega is because in the end the solution is a sine function where omega is the frequency. Okay, and then omega n here can be written as n pi over L. And then we have fn equal that for n equals 1 to 3, so there are infinitely many of them. Okay, step 3 is to solve for g. So for each given n, we'll have fn and the lambda n or omega n, and using that we can have an ODE for gn, which takes the following form. It's a second order ODE, and the constant here would just be c squared times omega n squared, and let's write this as lambda n, and so here will be lambda n squared. Okay, lambda n is just c times omega n, and we can put in the omega n, we'll have an n c pi over L. Okay, so this is just a constant coefficient second order ODE for g, which we know how to solve. This is a positive number, therefore the solution is a sine and cosine function. Okay, so the general solution for gn will be a cosine function, cosine lambda nt, and a sine function, lambda nt, and you do a linear combination of them. So multiply this by cn and multiply this by dn, and you add up. Okay, so here the constants c and dn's, they are arbitrary. We have not imposed any conditions yet. Okay. And we have infinitely many of them for each n equal to 1 to 3 and to infinity. Okay, so let's write out this function we called un. Un will be fn times gn, and then we can put it in what we have. So this will be the g here, and this will be the f here. So for each n, this is a solution for the wave equation. Okay, so let's put some names in, terminologies. So the lambdas here are called the eigenvalues, and then all these functions un here, they are called the eigenfunctions for the wave equation. And then we have a set of all the eigenvalues, lambda 1, lambda 2 to lambda infinity, infinitely many of these numbers. This set here, they're called the spectrum. Well, okay, is, sorry about that. Now step 4, we can now construct the formal solution of the wave equation. So if each un is a solution, then a linear combination of them is also a solution by the principle of superposition for linear equations. Therefore, we form a solution u here by adding up all the uns, and we can put in the expression for the uns in here. So the solution would take this form, where c and dn for now is arbitrary. But then we recall that there are two initial conditions for the wave equation which we have not used, and we will use them to determine those two coefficients. Let's look at the first condition, that ux0 is fx. So putting in t equals 0 in the solution here, we know sine of 0 is 0 and cosine of 0 is 1, so this term becomes just cn. So I have summation over cn times sine omega nx equal f of x. Then we see that this is an expression of writing out a Fourier sine series for the function f. So the cn's are now Fourier sine coefficients of this f here, which you need to do the odd half-range periodic expansion of this f. Okay, so that we have already studied and we know how to do it. So the cn we can write out is just 2 over L times the integral of f times the sine function. Then this is an obvious remark. So if f of x is 0, that is, if originally the string is at the position of the equilibrium, then all the cn's will be 0. Okay, now let's determine the dn's by using the second initial condition, the u sub t at 0 and x0 is gx. Okay, then we first need to differentiate the formal solution. Ut, let's differentiate that, and then we'll get differentiating cosine, you get sine, a negative sine and negative lambda n in the front, and then differentiate sine, get your cosine with the lambda n in the front. Okay, then let's put in t equals 0, then sine is 0, and then cosine is 1. So this whole thing comes out to be lambda n dn. So we have lambda n dn times the sine function and sum over, and this must equal to g. So what does this say is a Fourier sine series on the left-hand side here with coefficient lambda n dn. So once you recognize that, then you can conclude that lambda n dn's are now Fourier sine coefficients of, again, the odd half-range periodic expansion of the function g. So this we know how to do. So lambda n dn will just be this integral here. And since we're interested in dn, then we can divide both sides by lambda n, and we get dn equals that. Okay, so again, an observation that if the g's shall be 0, then all the d's are 0. So it's kind of a neat here. The solution is written in this form. So you see the terms with cn's are caused by the initial position of the string of the equilibrium. And all the terms dn are caused by the initial movement of the string. Now let's summarize what we have found. So here's the wave equation. That's the equation. And then boundary condition, Dirichlet homogeneous, and then initial condition, initial position, initial velocity. And we have the formal solution. U is the sum of all the eigenfunctions un, which takes this form, which we can write out here. And then in the solution, the omega n is n pi over L, lambda n is nc pi over L, and then the coefficient Cn is computed by finding the Fourier sine series of f, and then dn is by finding the Fourier sine series of g, and then divided by lambda n. Okay, so that's the derivation for this heavy-looking formal solution. Okay, so next time we'll have some discussions and observe the properties of these solutions, and in particular why this equation is called the wave equation. Okay, so that's all for this time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.